Welcome to Podcasters of America. I'm your host, John Sanchez. We are the voice of America's small business, and I'm joined by my very dear brother, Dr. Dennis Sanchez, the AI doctor. How you doing, Doc?
I am doing phenomenal. It's
Fantastic.
great to be back in America. What can I say? Podcasters of America, it's really great to be back.
See, we bring you back. We bring you right back to it. Well, folks, on this episode, we're going to be exploring the AI Solopreneur checklist to see if you have what it takes to be an AI solopreneur. And I bet many of you do. You just don't even realize it. Well, after we get done with this episode, we're going to have this great checklist for you, and you're going to kind of go through this and go, yep, I can do that. Yep, that's me. Yep. And we're going to help you launch becoming an AI solopreneur. One of the very best, most incredible things in the world that you can do. You'll have unlimited income potential, your financial freedom, work wherever you want to, all the great things that, of course, AI enables so many of us to do these days. You're going to learn how to do it. But before we get started with Dr. Sanchez, I want to tell you about a very, very special gift that he has put together for listeners of Podcasters of America and my radio show, The John Sanchez Show. What would be better than sharing the gift of learning of how to use the most powerful AI tool like Microsoft Copilot, the only AI tool available that's integrated with all the Microsoft apps that so many of you are already familiar with? You work with them at work, with it at home, so on and so forth. I'm talking about things like Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Outlook. Unlimited Microsoft Copilot training is what Dr. Sanchez is going to give you in this program he's put together. Unlimited Copilot training for 4 weeks, not just for you, but your entire household, up to 5 members. This includes online courses, videos, materials, over 100 courses. And we're not talking really long ones. I mean, like 7-10 minutes in length. They are absolutely phenomenal. Dr. Sanchez has put this all together for a very special price of only $199 per household. That's right.
What did you say? Did you say $199?
$199. Didn't you used to kind of use these programs in your former life of like hundreds of thousands of dollars? This type of course would cost a corporation for that type of training, right?
Well, they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in this kind of training, and they usually don't do it right either. That's the sad part. But the training that does work comes from a company called Brainstorm, and that's where these courses are coming from too.
Love it. But there's just courses out there. It was your expertise to put all of these courses together into a package. So this package also, by the way, is available via gift card. Offers good for only the first 100 families that are reacting to this promotion. Again, it's absolutely incredible, folks. Regular price of the package, by the way, $299 a user. We're only talking $199 for an entire household up to 5. Dr. Sanchez is going to provide the link to the form via his email. All we got to do, or all you have to do, is this. Send an email, Dr. Dennis Sanchez at performai.ai, and he will send the link to you to get to this great program. Once again, Dr. Dennis Sanchez at performai.ai to take advantage of this great early holiday gift. Dennis, I know of no better gift than the gift of knowledge. And not only is it a gift of knowledge, but also it's a gift that hopefully, with everything going right, this is a step towards solopreneurship and unlimited income potential. Who knows how many millionaires you may have created, my friend, by offering this training and knowledge, right? Think about that for a second.
And when I was putting this together and I thought the dynamic, first it was a couple, sharing in the learning. Then I thought, well, what about, the kids? This is unlimited.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we always want to include our kids into it. It's like I said, it's for the entire family. So once again, to take advantage of this great $199 per household offer, just send an email to Dr. Dennis Sanchez at performai.ai, and he'll send you the link. You can get started. I mean, they can get started literally after they pay for the course. What, matter of minutes, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it.
Once they get their log on, the great thing is 24/7 access.
There you go.
Take the courses over as many times as you want.
Oh, love it. Love it. And they'll have 4 weeks to complete the courses, correct?
That's correct. And then, excuse me, the other bonus here that we're not even talking about is if you're not real comfortable with some of the Microsoft applications in Office or Microsoft or M365, you can take those courses too. Take them before you start using Copilot. So kind
Love
of
it.
brush up on everything. Get up to school, get up to speed. It'll help you in school. It'll help you in your job. It'll help you, make that transition to the solopreneur role. It's, this should help a lot of people.
In a lot of aspects of their life. Yeah, I think we all could use a brush-up course on all the great Office products. And then, as Dr. Sanchez and I were chatting off air, he has created courses for our firm, Sanchez Gaunt Capital Management, and it is amazing incorporating AI, meaning Copilot, in with things like Word and Excel and Outlook and all the, again, like you said, all the Microsoft suite that we all use in our daily business life. But to incorporate an AI and really get every value that's there, it's priceless. That's all I can say. And I'm not saying that because you're my brother. It is priceless what you have taught us and what I'm sure this course is going to teach everyone else. So congratulations on putting this together. I'm sure so many people are going to, I hope, then they should take advantage of this great early holiday shopping gift. The gift that will last forever, as we say.
Yeah, and you bring up a really good thought. I'm sure some people listening are going, well, yeah, Copilot. I'm used to using ChatGPT. Well, in case you haven't been using Copilot at work, Copilot is the most popular generative AI solution that organizations use. Everybody took advantage of the free copy of ChatGPT, but it's limited. But the thing you should know is Copilot is actually built on the ChatGPT engine. So the most powerful engines are what you get in Copilot. So you're going to get the best of ChatGPT, but what ChatGPT doesn't have is that native integration with the apps you're already using. You can you can access it through PowerPoint, through Word, like you said. You can't do that with ChatGPT.
No.
You can't. You can create files and things in generic formats that you can import, but those are extra steps. This is all in one solution. And I try to keep track of all the tools and things that are out there, but think of a solution if you put maybe 20, 30 of these tools together, all those tools into one package. And that's exactly what you have with Copilot. Yeah, you don't have to learn all those. You've got them all in one solution, and you can do it in 4 weeks.
Yeah. Like I said, all I know is what it's done for our firm with your training. And it's like I said, the gift that will keep on giving forever and hopefully make a lot of new entrepreneur multimillionaires out there because of your coursework. So excellent job. Well, speaking of coursework, let's start getting into our topic. Let's start identifying, do you have what it takes basically to be an AI solopreneur, right? That's really what we want to know. Last thing in the world you ever want to do in business is start a business and you go, oh man, it's not in my DNA. It's not who I am. And you spend all that time and money, et cetera. So you put together this great outline talking about what you've experienced that needs to be successful. You're a solo AIpreneur, and you're around a lot of them. You know what it takes to do this, to be successful, and you've put this together. So let's get into one of my favorite parts of any part of life, whether we're talking personal or professional, Dennis, and that is the growth mindset. So the description you really gave as far as the growth mindset is the belief that abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort and learning. I think your key word there is belief. You do have to have a belief that you are smart, that you do have the abilities to move into this new endeavor.
And some people, we know them. We're around them. We work with them. They might even be in our families. It might even be who we are. They're perfectionists. They consider themselves perfectionists, which can be a negative thing if you're not open to trying something new, even though you're so good at what you're doing. Because as we know, nothing ever stays the same. Nothing we're doing, we can't keep doing that same thing the same way for years and years. Just imagine, there's any example, driving a car, doing anything.
Yes.
We've actually been forced to change a lot when AI came into our lives. And so being open to what it can do for you and help you and getting in, as we've talked about before, on that positive side of the experience requires an open mind to really, it's okay to make mistakes. In fact, Copilot will be the first thing to forgive you, and it's very positive. It will never say, "Oh, you dummy, why'd you even ask me that question?" It's going to say, "Oh, I'll answer that again for the 15th time.
Yeah,
maybe you'll get it this time."
Explain it
No,
a different way to you.
but it's having that yeah, it's so important to this to all of this.
It really is. All right, let's get into some self-assessment questions to see if we have the growth mindset to be a solopreneur. Do I believe I can learn new skills when needed?
That it's kind of the theme of growth mindset, and really understanding if I need to learn something new, do I have that capability? And the reason why I think a lot of people still believe they don't is that the familiar thought in the past was, once as you get older, you lose brain cells, and you start, of course, memories tied into the brain stuff too, but that's a whole different story. But you can't learn new things. Think of the saying, old dogs, don't learn new tricks. Well, mammals can learn, and dogs are mammals too. As we learn new things and practice them and repeat them over and over, it actually creates a neural map in your brain that if you keep using it and keep using it, it becomes part of your brain you don't even think about. You do naturally. And it's your body is looking, and your brain is looking for lots of things like that. So it doesn't have to work so hard to actually perform a simple task.
But your brain does want to work, right?
Yeah.
Studies have proven this. This is move the body and move the brain, and you will live, barring any other disease or something, you will live a long time. The brain is not meant to sit there and stagnate and watch Oprah on TV all day when you retire or later in life.
Great point. And think about, so most theories about the brain really go back to, how our brain has developed over time. We didn't have to worry. We didn't sit around when we were, cavemen and people like that. We had to be alert. We had to be focused. We had to be adaptable. We had to do all those things. They didn't sit around and have the same kind of lifestyle we have. So it was on automatic in those days. Now we have to really, push ourselves sometimes to get there. But yeah, we need that stimulation. But the brain is looking there's a little bit of a dichotomy in saying the brain wants to work. It actually doesn't. It really wants to have to expend as few resources as possible. And when you learn something,
I'm wrong when I say the brain wants to work.
So it's a little, it thrives. It's most active when it's stimulated. So absolutely.
Yeah. So why do you say it doesn't want to work?
Because working requires resources, and to survive, we need to control and manage our resources. It's all about sustainability, and that's a primitive thing we have in it. That's how we survive. So there's the cave, thousands and thousands of years, they weren't thinking about things like that. They were just doing it. They had the stimulus and everything else. But get the stimulation. But see, when you learn something and master it, it's in a different part of your brain now, where it's automatic. We want things to be automatic, where we don't even think about it. When something you do, to think about something you do over and over, taking a shower. Do you spend a lot of time thinking about it?
Right.
But you know what? If you went to a foreign country, you didn't know where the hot water and the cold water was, you'd have to think about it. And that actually would stimulate your brain. The newness, and when things are novel, they stimulate our brain. So novel comes with learning. So yeah, we're at our best when we're learning, but we also, if we were just in that state all the time, we would be exhausted, because the brain is it requires a lot of energy for such as a small part of the body. Yeah.
Let's go to your second question. How do I respond to constructive criticism? Curious, defensive? You're going to get a lot of that when you strike out on your own as a solopreneur.
Absolutely. Some of it has to come from yourself, right? You have to be critical of yourself. But because and that can be just as difficult, in my opinion, as someone else giving you criticism. Facing the truth and seeing, I'm not very good at this part of my job. And then saying, well, you know what, that's an area maybe I can trade
You got to be humble.
Be humble about it, and not
Yeah.
because we have to come to those conclusions pretty quickly when we're solopreneurs, because that we may run out of money if we don't make those decisions, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and don't hesitate to criticize yourself. You can be, as the saying goes, be your own harshest and worst critic, right? Because that's going to make you better than what you ever think you can be, right? If you go, oh man, I'm perfect and I do this great and everything's great and so on and so forth, you're never going to grow the business. You're never going to grow personally or professionally. So be your harshest critic. And if you notice anybody that's good at anything, take Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace. He was the harshest critic of himself. No one could stand up to him, but he was like, I didn't work hard enough, or I didn't do this right, or I didn't. You can have the most perfect game. I didn't do that right. And you'll find that common denominator among successful people. So I love that one. All right. Our next one. Do I seek out new challenges, or do I avoid situations where I might fail? Ooh.
A lot of the research on this topic came from education. And actually, the mother of growth mindset is Carolyn Dweck, who studied education at Stanford. And this all started with her trying to figure out why these best students, the ones that came in with straight A's, had the highest SAT, ACT scores, all that, when they got into difficult situations, didn't recover very well. For example, if they got one off on the test when they're used to getting an A+ all the time, they were failing. They were not doing as well in the long run as those who came in with an open mind and said, yeah, I didn't do very well on that test, but I learned a lot when I did that. I learned there's another way to study. I learned I know what I need to do the next time. They ended up being better students. And you'll see that happening over and over and over. That having that, expecting perfection of yourself is really, it ties in with something called self-compassion, where one of the things you want to avoid is being so judgmental, where, let's say you in your business, you didn't get that sale you thought you were going to, or you're just not, it didn't turn out, you're a perfectionist and everything else. Well, that's where you have to take a step back and not let that bother you. You got to move on. You got to adapt.
Yeah,
and you got, that's the thing. You got to figure this out pretty quickly.
This isn't part of your notes, but I think this is something extremely important for our listeners. You and I had a discussion. We brought it up just a couple days ago, but a couple years ago, you were telling me and you informed me that he passed away. He was, I'll just use the term, the psychology coach, I guess, for lack of a better word, for Russell Wilson, one of the greatest quarterbacks out there. And he specialized in the area of psychology, sports psychology, where he taught Russell Wilson and many others, you said, how to overcome, again, adversity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you brought up I think it's an excellent analogy in business versus sports, which is, let's just use Russell Wilson as an example. He throws a bad pass. It gets intercepted, right? Most of us will go, oh man, I screwed up.
Mm-hmm. It was a Super Bowl.
Cost us. Yeah, we had to get the ball up. Yeah, all these different things. But what we don't know is they have professionals like this gentleman that you were referring to, and he teaches these professional athletes, look at what happened is done. You have to move forward. So can you explain that a little bit further?
Yeah, it's kind of a new old theory that came out of psychology and kind of manifested itself in sports psychology, where you can overcome mistakes by not dwelling on the past. So you focus on what's in front of you right now, this moment, living life moment by moment. What's in the moment? What can you control? What's in the moment? And maybe a half a step ahead. But if you focus on the moment, then and when you have focus, that's when you're entering a state that they call flow. Focus, performing. That's also something that they talk a lot about in athletics and actually positive psychology too.
The zone, right?
The zone. That's a zone. It's when a lot of things come together.
Layman's terms.
They talk about the plays slowing down. They see things in slow motion, they, and you're talking about just a short amount of time, but all those things are working together to make that happen. But focusing on what
and
you
let me
can
tell you,
control.
folks, when you're in business and you find yourself in the zone, if you never played sports, you can't relate to it there. But when you're in business and you're in the zone, it's like you're unstoppable, right? It's like every sales call you're doing, you're closing the sale, or every project you put in front of yourself, you're getting done, because our mind has that ability to focus in, and you put away all the distractions, right? It's like you have the blinders on, like a racehorse does, and you zone in on what needs to be done, whether it's sales or hitting certain sales goals or growth of the company or hiring that great employee, whatever it is. That is, I always said, Dennis, if someone could figure out how to harness that moment when we find ourselves in a zone,
Mm-hmm.
you'd be a godzillionaire, right? Because it's invaluable, and it does come in time. You have to work at it, and you have to learn, like you just said, put behind you what just happened a minute ago and focus on the present. And it's so hard for us human beings, especially solopreneurs, to do that. We're so aggressive. We want to be, always on top. We can't do that. But let's focus on what we have in front of us, and let's make the best of it right now. Let's be the best we can right now at this moment.
You brought up such a good point about self-awareness. Probably I've never seen such a strong need as for someone who's working by themselves for themselves.
Yes.
You are, you've got to provide your own feedback. You have to be aware when you're getting stressed out. You have to be aware of all these things that maybe you dependent on people to give you feedback because they're around you. You having a bad day or something. Well, you got to know when you're having a bad day, or you have to know that I'm having a bad day. But I'm going to focus right now on what I'm doing. That's it. Forget it. I can't do anything about the past. And manage. It's managing yourself on that level.
Yeah, that should be a whole nother podcast, because that's that's really what it boils down to. Can you manage yourself? And so as you're going through the self-assessment, that's one of the many things you have to ask. Am I a self-motivator? Can I manage myself? Can I recognize when I'm tired, when I'm stressed, when I'm in the zone or I'm near getting into the zone? Can I handle projects and deadlines? And I mean, list goes on. There's no one, folks. There's no one that you can go, no, Fred down the hall, it was his job to close that sale, or his job to go out and develop 10 new prospects. It rests on you.
Kind of an extreme example of that is, we know that for generations now, um, uh, people who work in the military have been coming back from, it doesn't even have to be on the front lines or anything like that, with PTSD. And it affects
Yes.
a lot of different industries, people under pressure and all that. Well, there's really no cure for PTSD.
Yes.
What the emphasis is on realizing that you're experiencing those feelings at that time and controlling it in the moment. So just another example of, this being aware and knowing what to do at that time. And there's lots of different exercises. You'll see them usually go around to something around mindfulness, self-meditation, just, putting yourself in another space, breathing, getting oxygen back in your body, things like that. But, I know these sound like, oh, that's way out there, but you could, as a solopreneur, experience all those things.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, you do. Trust me, you do.
Mortgages due tomorrow.
Yeah.
What am I going to do?
Yeah, you got a lot of things that you're juggling, but the rewards are endless. That's for sure.
One other point I want to make, because I meant to get it out in the radio broadcast, and it's so important. I want to really bring out the fact that we don't talk very much about the technology. And there's a reason for that. That's not because we don't understand the technology. In our conversations, we're really focused on the human side of it, because in my observation, the technology changes all the time. We should be aware and knowledgeable and have skills and with the technology. But
you're talking AI specifically, aren't you?
Yes, specifically AI.
Yeah,
I would provide a theory. I would theorize that most of the success from a solopreneur, an AI solopreneur, is going to be, it's going to come from them, who they are and what they're doing with the technology, not the other way around. The point of that, to say that, is you don't have to be an expert in technology to be successful.
No.
You need the combination of these other traits and character, that we're talking about.
Well, once again, to your point, AI is just a tool. It's like anything. It's like your computer. That is a tool to your success in business. AI is a tool that will enable you to succeed like no other technology. I don't know if it's greater than the internet, but pretty doggone close, if not greater, that we've ever experienced before, right? I think three major things that have enabled the solopreneur over time, and now, the present is AI, but previously it was the internet, in the late 90s when it came about. And then before that, I remember when you may remember when computers became, something that we could go, anybody, can go out and buy a computer. I mean, you look at those three things together, the sky's the limit. I mean, Dennis, I sat down Saturday morning and I wrote a business plan for one of my businesses, and I'm talking, brother, we went deep, right? Me and Hermano, that's my nickname for my my Chat GPT friend. But we went deep, and I tell you what, I got done, and I had an entire business plan within, I think it took me an hour and a half. That literally will be an extremely successful business. But it thought of things when it created the business plan. It thought of the marketing things. It went so far out to, it researched my competition that was out there. It told me what my competition is charging and what I should charge. It ran, of course, my pro forma financials. It did everything. And, well, you know what? I'm just going to tell you what it was, right? Because I think it's important. But this, to your point, what I want to get across is, I married my years of experience as an entrepreneur and a CEO with technology, and it was an incredible output. So we have a business, as you see on my shirt here, Channel Islands Executive Charter. So we have a high-end executive yacht charter business. We're expanding that business to another realm called Chasing the Tail Offshore Platform Adventures. And I'm in the midst of purchasing a large inflatable military-style rib or rigid inflatable boat, like you see the Coast Guard and military use, that we will use for whale watching and dolphin watching in Southern California. And so I took the listing, because we're in the midst of buying it. We're in escrow now of buying it. I took the listing of this rib, Dennis, and I put it into AI. And then it analyzed the entire boat. And from what it analyzed, just in the listing and the pictures, it pinpointed different aspects or different things that I could use. And when I went into this whole idea, at 4:30 Saturday morning, when I fired up my laptop, I went into it where, it's going to be a fun, offshore adventure for kids, right? I've shared with you the logo I had created, Wally the whale and Daisy the dolphin and Sammy the seal and all that stuff. And it came back after it saw this picture, and it goes, and it was just like you just said, it said, I want to respectfully disagree with the direction you're going with this business. I went, oh boy. And it went down this entire path, and it said, look, what you have is what no one in Southern California have. You have a military-style offshore adventure package that no one else has. You have a military-style rib that you can go at 30 knots out to the beautiful Channel Islands and off the Southern California coast and go chase orca whales and humpbacks and gray whales and dolphins and sea lions, and you can do an entire tour. And it laid this whole thing out, but it was more of the adventure style, where I was like, just the ecotourism and the wildlife. And I went, oh my God, it just changed my entire business, but for the better. And then we spent the next hour refining that business plan. But my point of all this entire story is, if I had not had AI to do that, I would have spent who knows how much money going down the wrong path, the wrong direction, the wrong target market. It brought me over to a new model that I'm so excited about, saved me, like I said, significant sums of money, most importantly, time. And now I've got a full-blown business plan. I mean, it went so far to writing, how we're going to promote this on social media and getting YouTube influencers on there. I mean, it was mind-boggling, absolutely mind-boggling. But it's this data. Now it's up to me and my team to implement the ideas and the strategies. And that's to the point I want to get to. You're so 100% right. It's a combination. Don't ever think that AI is going to do it all for you. It's a combination of your hard work and who you are as a person, right? AI can only do so much. It doesn't, you got to design a business that you are passionate about, that you feel comfortable with, like you said at the beginning of the interview. Without that, I mean, AI doesn't know that. AI may think, I want to, start a painting business. Well, you couldn't pay me enough money to be a painting contractor. I hate painting. I hate painting. But AI doesn't know that. So I think that's a great point you bring up.
Well, here's what's so interesting about your story, and it really illustrates the difference in somebody just using a tool, which I can guarantee you most people are. Just using it, doing on the highest level. Most training in organizations, I've delivered a lot of Copilot training, is just getting to the surface and then walking away. The magic happens when you're able to achieve what you have achieved. You're actually collaborating with the technology.
You're right.
It's a great term. It's not using it. You're collaborating. And because you're having synchronous conversations where you're asking a question and then you're using ChatGPT, which Copilot is based on,
exactly.
is coming back and asking you questions, making suggestions. Instead of ignoring it and moving on thinking, I got this nailed, you're actually listening. And then it's going back and forth. I think that is what, if we talk about mastery with these tools, it's when we develop that kind of relationship. So now this is very different, a relationship with the technology, not just using it. And that is so important. And it's the reason why, if you're not using these tools now, and I don't mean to emphasize this offer we have so much, but this you've got to start using it and develop your own relationship, because it will change your life. It will facilitate so many things that you want to do just by working with you, but you'll never get to that level unless you practice and just use your growth mindset to experiment, learn, and be open, and then keep using it like you've done.
You nailed it, because it knows me, because I use it every day. I use it for so many aspects of business planning, and you nailed it, bro. And because it came back and it said, when I had kind of the cartoonish, this business, it said, that's not who you are, John. You're a successful CEO. You're hard driving. You're all these different things. This is the model that you need, right? So it looked at my personality that it knows of me and went, you got to, like I always say, you got to go where your passion is. I'm like, oh my gosh, and I literally got goosebumps when it said that. So it's an incredible. And folks, all we can tell you once again is take advantage of this course, because what you're going to learn will give you the goosebump moments like I just explained that I had Saturday morning. This is one of many. I mean, I could just spend hours. This is Dennis's interview, not mine, of how it has changed my life. But again, it's an enabler. It's a tool, and you need to learn how to do it. And that's exactly with this great course that Dr. Sanchez is offering. Once again, $199 for your entire household of how to use Copilot, and then use it with Word and PowerPoint and Excel and Outlook and so on and so forth. You get to use this for 4 weeks, 4 weeks of this 107 plus course material that Dr. Sanchez has put together. 5 members of your household can use it. So mom, dad, the 3 kids. Guess what? Think of the knowledge of that household once you learn how to use Copilot. And again, cross-use it with all the entire Microsoft Suite products that many of you use already. $199. That's all it costs. Normally, it's $299 a user, but the entire household, $199. That's it. Special offer. You got to say in the email, which again, the email is Dr. Dennis Sanchez at performai.ai, but put on there, listener of Podcasters of America and or the John Sanchez Show, to get that special $199 pricing. So
that's it.
It's incredible. All right, let's move on. Let's go to,
well,
resilience.
Another podcast.
Yeah, no kidding. Resilience and grit. Resilience and grit. This is something else that is a key ingredient in a successful solopreneur.
Resilience and grit, those are 2 more words that are becoming part of any conversation, you have around performance and sustaining a high level of performance, whether it's in sports, whether it's in the office. And now we're talking about a solo person, a solopreneur who is very much like a high performing athlete, operating at that level, operating, we know you and I have done it. You're going to put in the hours, but, and you got to do what you got to do. Right. It's going to require, that kind of resilience, being able to bounce back, not just, a bit, twice a year or something like that, but maybe every day, because when you're doing this, you're learning
throughout the day,
maybe every hour. I feel like we're always doing that. The whole grit, model comes from a woman, I would call her the mother of grit, Angela Duckworth, out of University of Pennsylvania, which is the home of positive psychology. These are all topics. If you just Google them, you're going to find all kinds of great articles and research. So positive psychology is one that was created by Martin Seligman, who is out of University of Pennsylvania, and then Angela Duckworth. I just read a story about when they interviewed her for the doctorate program there. They had already closed the department and everything else, but after talking to her, and she was doing so many wonderful things already, they said, okay, no, she's going to be in the program. And what she's done is help us understand another differentiator, why some people are succeeding and other people aren't. And again, it's not about being perfect. It's not about even having years and years of experience or having advantage because of your standing in society or anything else. The message you keep hearing through all this stuff is hard work and being open-minded and having a passion and doing these things will make you successful. And the AI has made this playing field very level. Yes. Why not you?
Yes. Why not you? That's right. That's right. So we have to be able to bounce back from setbacks. Key ingredient. We, want to think about going back in history. When have I overcome adversity, right? How did you handle that? Go back in your memory bank a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, do I persist with goals even when progress is slow? That is one of the most challenging ones when you're a solopreneur. And that is, man, there's no one, again, you can't play the blame game on anybody. It's all rested on your shoulders, right? But man, I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. I can't tell you how many businesses I've had, Dennis, over the years where you just keep grinding and grinding and grinding. You're like, why am I doing this? Am I wasting my time and my money? And then all it takes is one day, just one day, or one sale, or one person that you meet, right? How many times have we heard people say, my business wasn't doing anything, and then I met the right person. He or she opened up the doors to this person or this network or that type of thing. Again, that's something that you have to be able to do. You got to have that, that old saying, you got to have the true grit to power through. I always have the saying, Dennis, and that is, when you're a solopreneur, when there's an obstacle in front of you, you and I both ran track in high school. You did hurdles for a while, right? If I remember, you never did hurdles?
Very little. No.
Okay. Well, when you're running down the track and that hurdle's in front of you, you obviously can't go around it. Right? You'd be disqualified. You got to go over it. It's the same thing in business, right? You got to go over that hurdle, whatever that hurdle may be. Yeah, you have to go over that hurdle. And then you got the next one in front of you, right? You got the next hurdle and then the next one. And before you know it, the race is over. And that's what it is in businesses. One hurdle after the other. How are you going to handle it? You don't go around it. You go over it and you conquer it and move on to the next one.
And what do those guys do, or the women, when they knock a hurdle down? They get up.
Yep, that's it. Keep going. That's right. That's a great one. You're absolutely right. All right. So let's go to our third point, which is adaptability. This is one I struggle with, and that is the willingness to learn, pivot, and embrace new information or approaches. The reason I say I struggle with that one, because as the older I get, at 61 years old, I become a creature of habit. It's like I like to do the same thing every single day. You and I were joking yesterday or over the weekend. You just got back from being out of the country for 2 weeks. I'm like, I don't know. I couldn't do that. I freak out if I have to travel somewhere on an hour plane flight. And you're like, John, you've got to learn to adapt, and so on and so forth. So I commend you for that one. But what are the things? What do you mean by willingness to learn, to pivot, to embrace new things, right? Because every day as a solopreneur, it's going to be different. You're never going to have 2 days that are the same. Never.
The the whole concept of adaptability, especially when around technology, evolved into actually a project management model called Agile. And it's the best way to illustrate what adaptability is. If you are running a huge project and using Agile, you're actually meeting every day with the intention of we're going to change our course. You can't, Agile doesn't see progress as going from A to B. It sees progress as going from A to C if you have to, then back to B, then going to D, and maybe take a step back. And that's when you think about it, that's really how things move. You take a step back,
true.
take a step to the right, the left, and then, so adaptable is being able to do that. An important aspect of Agile is that you meet more often, you talk more, because with things changing and adapting, it requires more communication between people. So, you just have to be comfortable and expect that level of change is going to be happening. I can tell you right now, I started my own, started Perform AI about 3 months ago. I changed my mind a lot just even getting to the opening day. But some of the time I was going, God, can I make up my mind? But part of it was, in hindsight, that was the best decision. That was good that I did that. But you have to be able to do that. And be comfortable with it.
Sure.
I might be a little bit more comfortable than I should be with it, but that may be a little.
Yep, exactly. That's something I'm working on a lot. All right, so the questions we want to do in our self-assessment side of things under adaptability: am I comfortable changing plans when circumstances shift? Do I experiment with new approaches regularly? Do I adjust quickly to feedback, or do I resist change? All right, let's go to our fourth point: creativity and problem solving. Our description is ability to find novel solutions and think outside the box. What kind of self-assessment questions should we be asking ourselves on this one?
Well, I love that, thinking about the novel solutions, for one thing, because remember we talked earlier about it's the novel experiences that really arouse our brain, get us excited, and start creating new neural maps of things as they come into being. They've tracked the energy levels and the activity in brains with novel things. It absolutely happens. So, being able to, creativity is aligned to a certain part of the brain where not only does it creates positive emotions to experience creativity. We know that we need to find new solutions to problems. There is no role on the earth that is more adapt to finding creative solutions to solve problems than entrepreneurs. Because the very nature, we start with, what is the problem that we want to solve? And that is one of the most attractive things about being in that role and stuff too. And then, so you've got the creativity side, which is just so stimulating to me. When I have an opportunity, I can tell you on one hand how many jobs I've had where I could be 100% creative. And it, unfortunately, not a lot, but when you know the difference when you have that kind of opportunity. So how about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, creativity is the driving force as to what keeps me, going. All these years being an entrepreneur is because every day it's different. Every time you have an idea, you go down that path. Before, it used to be you would either deal with it with yourself, and you'd get a piece of paper out and go, okay, here's my new idea. Here's my problem that I'm going to solve, so on and so forth. And you'd write it down, then you'd think about it for a couple of days, or maybe you'd put it aside and you never come back to it. And, the old adage, boy, shoulda, woulda, coulda on that idea, right? And you see somebody go make millions of dollars on it. Or if you worked for someone, you get a team together, but no one cares about your ideas like you do, right?
Yeah.
But guess what? With AI, it does care, right? And that's the great thing about it. As I did the other day, as I was sharing with you, you can go into your AI, whatever model you're going to use, and get as creative as you want. And as you always emphasize, and I live and breathe it also, it just keeps pushing you, right? It's like the best partner in the world you can have because it pushes you. Think about this. Did you think about that? And then the creative juices just start flowing. And again, before you know it, you have an entire business in a matter of hours.
One little point that I'd like to add on what you just explained: when you experience those moments with ChatGPT, I'm guessing you're probably doing it at a time of day when you're most creative. And I
100%.
believe you said before morning. I think that's the same with me.
Yes.
It's describe that kind of feeling in the morning when ideas and things are flowing.
It's, I don't know if I can even put it into words because I love so much what I do. I have an entire blessed life, both personally and professionally, where, my main business, of course, Sanchez Gone Capital Management. I got the world's best partner and my partner, Jason, my incredible staff. And then, the charter business and the ranch and all the different things that I'm involved with, the things you and I do together, that literally, even on Saturday and Sunday, I don't set an alarm, but I get up Saturday, I got up at 3:30. I woke up, I went to bed early. I like to go to bed early. My favorite time is I'm in bed at 8 o'clock. And then I woke up at, like I said, 3:30, grabbed a cup of coffee, sat down on the couch in my living room. My wife wasn't awake yet. Usually she's up at about 4. So I had some quiet time. It was me and my dog sitting there sipping coffee. It was raining outside. I could hear the rain coming down, and I was just in this zone. By the time she got up at 4:30, I had 85% of the business plan written. But you're absolutely right. You have to learn your body biomechanics. When is that creative time for you? You're traditionally, or at least you used to be, a night person, right? You still do a lot of work at night.
Yeah.
When is your time? Is yours more at night? Because mine is 100% in the morning. There is no at night. I am worthless.
I would say I'm extreme, and that I can do very well in the morning. And I do find it, especially on a Saturday morning, very relaxing.
Yes.
And I'll
Saturday
just
and Sundays.
eliminate anything except sit down. I'll do some journaling, and ideas just flow. It's like, oh, man, oh my God,
the problem.
Wow, oh geez, I better. I keep my journal with me even when I'm making breakfast because the
Do you
activity.
really? I love it.
And I'll listen to podcasts and stuff. I'll do it, and I'll get ideas all the time. And I'm trying to capture them. So.
Yeah.
Because I forget them.
Yeah. My problem is my wife teases me. She'll by about 10 o'clock on Saturday morning, she'll go, "So what business did you create this morning?" Because I tend to do a lot of them on Saturday mornings. Because it's like you said, you don't have the stress of the week, and it's a nice quiet time and stuff. But yeah, I am 100% morning person. So,
two last thoughts on that. The AI tools like Copilot have really proven themselves to be valuable in the brainstorming process, not as the answer, but as a spark, a stimulator of ideas, especially when you get stuck. I got it.
Agree.
Because often people have to brainstorm under pressure. They need to come up with an idea. So very, very helpful there. Ideation, which is a way of brainstorming, has been around product managers for a long time. And the whole idea there is to create 100 ideas to find the right one. So they take a lot of ideas, then through a process with helping using AI to narrow it down.
The only problem I have found, Dennis, is I'll create these plans, a business plan, for example, let's just call it a Saturday morning or Sunday morning on AI. And what I find is I used to always go to a close-knit group of friends. You and I, of course, always talk, but I'm just talking non-blood relatives, and go, "Hey, I just created this new idea or this new plan or whatever." And you tend not to get the reaction, the enthusiasm.
They think you're crazy.
They think you're crazy.
Yeah.
Especially someone that's a serial entrepreneur like I am. So I tend not to do that anymore because I found that I would have all this enthusiasm that AI created for me. I mean, again, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 19 years old and I'm 61, so I got a little experience. I don't like how people make me feel like that. And you always go, well, is that jealousy, or do you really think it's a stupid idea? And, so on and so forth. So AI can be your confidant, because whether you're planning a business or you're in business, again, we're talking about the hurdles and the roadblocks. You're always going to have people that are doubting you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why in the world do you want to leave your $200,000 a year job? You got all your benefits in your retirement to go out and become a solopreneur and take all that risk and everything else. To hell with them. If it's in your heart to do it, right? My next book, I don't think I even told you, is going to be titled "Shoulda, Woulda, Coulda: How Not to Live a Life of Regret." Because, folks,
I love it.
Well,
Great idea.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited. I just got to
know
find
I'm
the time
always
to
support your
I
ideas.
know. Yeah, you see, exactly. That's why I always share my stuff with you. But really, that's what life's about, right? I mean, life can be taken from us at any point, and the worst thing in the world that we ever want to do is to be on our deathbed, as I was when I had cancer, and go shoulda, woulda, coulda. And man, I tell you, get out there, folks. It's just, there's no better time if you want to succeed and build a business, and again, all the benefits, unlimited income and freedom and so on and so forth. There's no better time. And especially with Dr. Sanchez's course that we'll go over one more time, that he's made such a generous offers for you. But it's amazing. But I can't emphasize enough, as you always emphasized when we started getting into AI, and that is, it is nothing more than an enabler, right? It still comes down to you in your heart, your grit, etc. Let's go to our next point: the intrinsic motivation and passion. Drive that comes from within, personal passion for the work or the mission. What are our questions we want to ask ourselves there?
Well, it's this is so important, and it's really the basis of my new business, Perform AI. I had read about intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation theory before. It's called self-determination theory. But it really started making sense with AI. And it's really about what are the things, what are our psychological needs? What do we really need to feel good? And through their research, and it's been proven over and over and over, and that is that we like autonomy. We really everybody enjoys autonomy, not having a boss hanging over them and telling them what to do. We really like connecting with other people and relating to them. That's
we
our
learned
balance.
that in COVID, didn't we?
Yeah, we learned that in COVID. And then we like to feel like we're competent. Like, we got something, we have something nailed. Yeah. So, and you're asking yourself the kind of questions are, what are you driven by? The internal rewards, the extrinsic rewards. I'm going to hold on to your thought for a second, because I want to know. Originally, they really thought that extrinsic motivation was bad. So it was always like, oh, of course you want intrinsic. Of course, that's the most pure kind of motivation. You're motivating yourself. You're not depending on somebody else. They've since backed off a little bit on that, because there's nothing wrong with, and I think sports has done this a lot. Well, if you're self-determined and you've been motivated to achieve a certain level of success, yeah, you get a monetary reward. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not why you did it, but
right.
But
hopefully
it's not. They go hand in hand. Not. Well, how do you feel about that?
Well, I agree. And a story came to mind that I dealt with, and this was years and years ago. This was mid 2000s or so. And I'll be real honest, I was real frustrated in my brokerage firm. It was just me. This was many, many years before Jason, and I was working harder than I've ever worked before, and I felt like I was getting nowhere. I was running 5 to 6 appointments a day. I had the daily radio show. I had the 8 stock updates in the morning. I was commuting an hour and a half from Lake Tahoe to Reno, and from Reno back to Lake Tahoe. And I was a volunteer firefighter, and I was this and that, and I had a family, and I was just maxed out. I was completely burnt out. And all of a sudden I get a call from a private equity firm, and they're interested in purchasing me, which happens a lot in our business, right? So very successful. Let me back up. They weren't they were backed by private equity, but they were essentially a competitor, but they were down in Southern California. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go down there. So my wife and I, we flew down, and we met with this group, and we walk into this conference room, and here's all the executives around this table. And I had no idea what this is about, right? And it's like, are they going to present me with a multi-million-dollar offer? What are they going to do? So we're sitting there, just a bunch of, in this high rise overlooking the Pacific Ocean, beautiful, beautiful place. And here comes the CEO. And obviously, I'm not going to say his name. Let's just say you see, or he used to be a lot on CNBC and Bloomberg, very well known globally, definitely nationally, definitely, within our realm of the investment world. Real cocky individual, fairly young guy, had sold a number of companies over the years and made hundreds of millions of dollars. But again, you get to that level, it's not about the money, right? It's the thrill of building something and then selling it and going on to the next thing. So he comes in, he sits down, I introduce myself, my wife introduces herself, etc. We start chit-chatting, and he looks at me and he goes, "Why are you here?" Like, oh, gee, right in front of all these other executives, like 10 people at this table. Like, well, you guys called me. I appeared you were interested. I may be interested in an offer, blah, 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 blah. So we start talking, and he goes, "What's your dream?" And I said, honestly, one of my dreams is to be on CNBC. I just want that check mark.
Yeah.
I want to sit at that desk, and I want them to interview me why I was a success for my clients. And Dennis, before the words got out of my mouth, he stood up on his desk or stood up from his chair over the conference table, and he looks at me. We're across each other, and he looks at me in front of everybody. He says, "You don't have what it takes. You will never be on CNBC. You need at least $1 billion under management, and you will never be on CNBC." In front of my wife, all these executives, I just flew down. I took time away from my business, and this son of a gun said that to me. And I said, "You're wrong." And I said, "This meeting's over." We got up. They called the limo, picked my wife and I up, and we jumped on an early flight, and we headed back to Reno. That gave me the biggest driving force because he doubted me. And I'm like, how dare you? How dare you? You don't even know me. I started with nothing, and I built this up, obviously, to a level that you were attracted to call me and bring me down here and think about buying. How dare you belittle me like
audacity.
that?
Yeah.
And the audacity. And I used that for so many years to drive me. And again, the passion, just like an athlete. It's like, oh, you can't do it. You're too big. You're too fat. You're too slow. You're whatever. And how many, Olympic athletes or pros have we seen saying that's what drove them? So you can turn that passion, and you can turn these negatives into something that is positive, that no one will ever understand why you're, again, overcoming the hurdles of being a solopreneur. All it takes is one event like that.
That's such a great story. And it illustrates, again, I think our greatest power, and I think maybe the greatest power that we aren't accessing enough, but I see as being really important in this context of owning your own business and operating it by yourself, is just tapping into your own self-determination. Because you just illustrated that it's no one can touch it. It's inside you, and it's built for resilience. It's built for grit, and it's got everything there. If it's strong, and that passion is strong about what you want to do, there's very little something in the outside can really challenge you or disrupt what you're doing.
And the old adage, Dennis, sorry to interrupt you. The old adage, like when one door closes, another one opens. And I look back, and like I said, this was like in the mid 2000s when this happened. And obviously we're a much smaller firm at that point. And I look back and go, you know what? That was one of the best things in the world that ever happened to me. Because had I succumbed, as many other, because they were going around the country and gobbling up small investment firms, right? I was just one of probably 10 meetings they had that day, right? Had I succumbed to that and walked away with a couple $1 million check, now compared to what we're worth now, and the happiness and the growth that I've had personally and professionally from that time period, it was the biggest blessing in disguise. So thanks to him and his being a what to me, it drove me, and I built a bigger, better firm that has created just things that I could not have even ever imagined, the world's best clients and so on and so forth. So one negative may turn into a positive, and you're going to find that a lot in business. You may not understand, why did I just lose that sale? Why did I just lose that client? Why? And you sit there and you go, and I'll tell you, folks, here's the best advice I can give you. Just, if you're religious, put it in God's hands. He'll take care of you. As long as you work hard and you are a good person to people, he will take care of you. And I, in business, you have a million of these over your career. And the tough part is like you said at the beginning of the interview, when you're a solopreneur, maybe you have your spouse to go to, but maybe not. Um, you've got to dig deep and find out. And these are the little things you learn as a solopreneur. How do I overcome? How do I find that deep down in my heart to keep going when times get tough? And then when you succeed, here's somewhat of the downside of succeeding. When you're in an office place, you go high five that coworker that was on your team, right? Hey, we just closed that multi-million. You don't have that. So you've got to find other reasons to be rewarded. If it's monetary, whatever it may be, you got to find the other side of it, not just the failures you have to overcome, but how are you going to handle the rewards? And my advice is, and I think you would agree with me, this is where it's great to have a network of friends and other solopreneurs and things like that.
Yeah.
You've got to talk to people. You don't lock yourself in your office for 15 hours a day. Go out and mingle and talk and network and meet and shake hands and kiss babies, as the saying goes. And then when you do have those rewards, it's great. When you're having trouble on your own, hey, you got someone to pick up the phone and call and say, dude, I'm struggling on this one. What do I do here?
A very important part of change management theory is about celebrating small wins.
Yes.
And so if that works on that scale, it's going to work on the individual levels. If you just count your blessings and do little scorecard of, think great things that happened to you that day, or start your next day with something like that. It's that's
a saying I always tell myself is business is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And you don't run a marathon going, I've got, 26.3 miles to run. No, I'm going to run from here to that stop sign, from that stop sign to that crosswalk. That's how you accomplish a marathon. In life and in business, it's nothing but a marathon, right? And so you do that. You celebrate, exactly to your point, celebrate those little victories. And before you know it, those little victories add up to one gigantic victory.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap it up with, let's get into the back to the mental side of things here. The emotional intelligence, the EQ.
Can I say one thing on one other point? It's the one you're skipping because we're running out of time, but it's, it ties in with what we've just done, and we can probably capture it in a few seconds.
Yeah, that's why I skipped it.
A few seconds, I promise. If we look at that first self-assessment question, do I believe I control my business outcomes? Go back to you in that situation. What that question is asking, it's related to a concept called locus of control. And it's think about people who blame other things outside for what's happening to them, or people that accept it, deal with it, and go back to some of those other points where they adapt and make those changes. In that situation, you didn't blame where you were on anybody else, or you didn't blame you just took control of it. And that's an example of agency, you making that choice. Very, very important that you accept responsibility for things that happen. That's all we need to say about that point. But
and it's a very important to, again, when you're by yourself, to accept responsibility, the good and the bad, because there is nobody to blame but yourself, for good and for bad, All right. Our emotional intelligence, better known as EQ. Definition of that: self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, and the ability to manage emotions, productivity. What are some of the self-assessment questions we need to see if we check those boxes?
So, this has been a hot topic for years now, emotional intelligence, and they came out with research and really that supports having that emotional intelligence, that to be able to be compassionate and actually, the most important thing, control your emotions.
Yes,
is called self-regulation. People that have it, it's like having another type of skill that's going to make them successful. We keep going back to the solopreneur, where the self-awareness. And now here's a new one: self-regulation. Control yourself, being aware of how you feel, what's going on. Are you being biased? Are you being negative? Did you wake up negative? Well, then you know what to do. It's things like that.
And you will find, at least with myself, the older I get, and I mean not only age older, but more experienced in business, you learn how to do that better. I would honestly say I was terrible at it probably up until about the last 2 years. So let's say been in business 35, 36 years. So let's say for 33 years or so, I screwed up and I didn't have emotional intelligence. I let my emotions dictate decisions, relationships. I always felt someone was trying to screw me over. I tried being friends and confidants with the wrong people, too many people. And I realized I'm blessed if I can shrink that network and close friends and allies and confidants down to maybe 5 people. That I use an old country song saying, which is, who can I call in the middle of the night if I just drove my truck into a ditch? Right? Pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me. And so, but yeah, this is a hard one, Dennis, because when you're a solopreneur, generally you're going to be a type A personality. You're a driver, you're a charger. You think your way is the only way. And all I can tell you, that earlier in your career that you can realize that, yeah, those are great traits to have, to balance your temper and your enthusiasm and so on and so forth. Man, I could have saved so many years of frustrations and broken hearts and things like that. I'm so glad you brought this point up. You have to learn to manage your emotions, because again, you're gonna have successes and you're gonna have failures. Let those failures get to you, you'll be out of business before you know it. Next thing you're not going to be begging for your 9-to-5 job back again. I mean, it's the last thing in the world.
That's a great story.
Yeah, thank you. All right. So let's kind of recap what we went over here. Once again, our AI Solopreneur Success Checklist. Do you have what it takes? These are just a few things, folks. Bottom line, do you have it in your heart, right? So do you have the growth mindset? Are you adaptable? Do you have resilience and grit? Are you creative and problem solving? Intrinsic motivation and passion, is it in your heart? Are you independent and confident? And as we just said, the emotional intelligence, the EQ. Are you able to keep your emotions in check? If you can check all the boxes of these, what would you say, Dennis? Out of the 7 points we covered, 3 out of 5, you got a pretty good shot of being successful as an AI entrepreneur. 5 out of 7, what do you think?
I think you need 7 to
You think so?
be a peak performer. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just depends on what your goals are. I think
you're going to be a peak performer out of the gate, but
but that's another good point. All of these, they realized that this list was very important for leaders. That had people underneath them. They would be more successful because if there's any one role that has to adapt all the time, it's the leader. So you can teach. These are all teachable skills. If you don't have them now, they can be taught. So,
or if you have some of them and not the others, you can be taught. But let's say you do have all 7 as you just mentioned, you're never perfect. Always work on refining them. It's like an exercise program. You're never perfectly in shape. You keep going to the gym every single day, right? And then building on it and getting better and getting better and getting better. Well, to wrap things up, once again, I want to tell you about, again, if you think you have what it takes, you can't move forward without this. So Dr. Sanchez has put together this incredible holiday package for us, just for the listeners of Podcasters of America and my radio show, The John Sanchez Show. And once again, what this is all about is the following: how to learn and use the most powerful AI tool, Microsoft Copilot, the only AI tool that is available, that is integrated within all Microsoft apps that you're already familiar with. You use them at home and at work, things like Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Outlook. Again, combining using AI with all of these things. Well, you did it just real quickly. You did this the other day. I was blown away before you went on your trip. You used Copilot to create a PowerPoint presentation for our office. And you did it like in a matter of minutes. Things that used to take me like 3, because I've never done that. I'm just learning thanks to your teaching and
maybe 5 minutes.
Our office.
You should be able to.
Yeah. I mean, it was incredible. Most beautiful PowerPoint presentation, and something that would have taken a normal human being, days probably to create. But anyways, back to the offer. So not only are you going to learn this integration, but you're going to get unlimited Microsoft Copilot training in this 107 plus course that Dennis has put together with Brainstorm. You get access to this for 4 weeks for your entire household, not just you, but 5 individuals in your household. Imagine teaching your spouse, your kids, how to use AI, how to use all of these Microsoft tools all into one. Normally this goes for $299 a user, but Dennis, through his generosity and wanting to help all of you, $199 for the entire household. That's it. Use for 4 weeks.
That's it.
I promise you it will change your lives for the better. I promise you. And the training is not doldrum like a lot of trainings we go through. It keeps you on your toes. It keeps you going. There's little quizzes, and it's a blast. And I like, again, to emphasize, they're short videos, right? There's 107 of them or so, but they're not
72.
drudgery. They're 5-7 minutes in length. You watch, 5 or 10 of them when you're having your coffee in the morning. Man, it gets you fired up. Before you know it, you got the whole course done. Imagine, I just can't imagine a whole family, Dennis, how this would change an entire family and the kids and, mom and dad, and give it to grandparents, right?
Yeah.
There's no age limit, as you said, to learning AI. There's zero. Once again, to take advantage of this $199 per household offer, just send Dennis an email. Dr. Dennis Sanchez at performai.ai. That's Dr. Dennis Sanchez at performai.ai. And you have to put that you're a listener of Podcasters of America and or the John Sanchez Show to get this $199 price tag. Bro, it's, again, another one of your topics that you and I could chat for days on. We're both so passionate for this. I want to thank you for being on Podcasters of America, for putting this together, for being my brother, giving me beautiful nephews, you and your incredible wife, Carrie, give me beautiful nephews. So proud of all of them. So proud of you on your journey as a solo AIpreneur. And let's go out there and let's spread the word across the world of this can be done with anybody through your great expertise, what AI does, and all of us coming together to help our dear audience out. And let's make this the greatest time, because folks, a lot of people, and we know you're losing your job and you're searching right now. Please, before you go fill out a resume that's going to get lost in the AI shuffle, take the time, take the course, learn what AI Solopreneur is all about. Pick up the phone and call me. Send me an email, john@sanchezgaunt.com. Send Dennis an email. I just gave that to you. We'll be happy to chat with you. If you're just like, I don't know what to do, this is what we do. Or we're in this for one reason. That's to help all of you. So God bless all of you. We hope you take advantage of this and just make it happen, because it's the greatest gift in the world that you'll ever have, bro.
God bless everybody. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak to those fine listeners. And it is realizing my dream to be able to do this. And let's see how it works out. And just I keep thinking about how good people are going to feel after they learn and grow their AI skills. You may already be using Copilot, but I can guarantee you no training you're never going to experience the type of training you're going to get in this offer. So
that's right. Take advantage of it.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Dennis Sanchez at performai.ai to take advantage of the special offer. Bro, I love you. God bless you. We'll talk to you tomorrow. And just remind you, Podcasters of America, the voice of America's small business. God bless. Have a great afternoon. We'll see you tomorrow.